Ever imagine yourself, like, really making a difference in a student's life? Someone struggling to find their way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we're diving into today, the world of learning mentors.
Okay. Yeah.
And we've got some great info from RoleCatcher to guide us. So if you're into education, this one's for you.
It's interesting, this role. It's not just about the school stuff. It's kind of like being a coach, but also someone they can confide in, helping students through all the ups and downs.
So more than just catching up on homework.
Exactly.
Right.
Think of it this way. Learning mentors work with all sorts of students. Some might be behind in class, others may be acting up a bit.
Right.
But then you've got those gifted kids who need that extra push to really excel.
It's like the guide said, helping a student find their passion for, say, creative writing or figuring out that learning style that just clicks for them. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And to really make it work, they're not in it alone. They team up with teachers, parents, everyone involved. It's all about what that individual student needs to succeed.
Sounds incredibly rewarding, but RoleCatcher keeps it real too. They talk about the emotional toll it can take. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely not always easy. Imagine being there for a student going through a tough time. They need someone to listen, someone to guide them. It takes a lot of empathy and patience and resilience too.
I bet.
But when you see that impact, it makes it all worthwhile.
Makes sense. Now, what about the work environment? It's not just about classrooms.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you'll find learning mentors in schools and colleges, sure, but think outside the classroom too. One-on-one sessions, maybe even home visits. It really depends on what the student needs.
Talk about being adaptable. This is really giving us a good picture of what this role is all about.
And we're just scratching the surface. There are so many different skills that make a learning mentor successful. We should dive into that next.
Okay, let's do it. What should our listeners be paying attention to if they're thinking about this career path?
Well, RoleCatcher gets really specific here. And it's not just like, be good with kids.
Oh, I'm sure that helps.
Oh, definitely. But they highlight social perceptiveness. That's key. Being able to pick up on people's emotions, why someone might act a certain way.
So like being a keen observer, noticing those subtle cues.
Exactly. And that ties into active listening, really understanding where a student is coming from. It's not just hearing their words, but the emotions behind them. And then, of course, being able to communicate all that effectively.
Makes sense. You're explaining complex things, advocating for these students, clear speaking, clear writing. Those are essential.
Absolutely. And let's not forget problem solving. You're always assessing situations, adapting your approach, thinking on your feet. It's a dynamic role.
So anyone listening, think about your own strengths. Do any of these resonate with you? Maybe this is your sign.
Now, RoleCatcher does mention usually you need a bachelor's degree.
Right.
Often in education, psychology, social work, that kind of thing.
Sure. Makes sense.
But they put just as much emphasis on practical experience, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's not just textbook stuff.
Right. Hands-on experience is key. Volunteering, tutoring, working with youth groups, anything that gives you a feel for what it's like to actually work with students.
Shows you're serious about it.
Exactly.
Now, let's say you've got the skills. You land that learning mentor position. What's next? Where could this lead? Is it a dead end or is there room to grow?
Oh, that's where it gets exciting. RoleCatcher lays out a pretty cool career path. It's not a dead end at all. So as you gain experience, you could become a senior learning mentor, leading a team, developing programs, even mentoring new learning mentors.
Or moving into more of a leadership role, impacting even more students.
Exactly. Or you might specialize. Become a special education coordinator, working with students with specific learning needs. And if you're really ambitious, some learning mentors even use this experience to become teachers or lecturers.
Wow.
They've got that firsthand knowledge of how students learn, what challenges they face. It's invaluable.
Talk about a career with impact. Okay, so you're ready to apply all this newfound knowledge. Let's talk about how RoleCatcher can be your secret weapon, especially in those interviews. They have a whole section on interview prep, don't they?
They do, and they even give you 9 common interview questions specific to learning mentors. Having those answers ready can really give you an edge.
It's like a sneak peek into the interviewer's mind. They want to see if you've got what it takes, if you really understand this role. One question that stood out to me was, how do you motivate learners who are struggling? That's a big one.
It is, and there's no easy answer. But that's where your skills come in. Understanding each student's unique challenges, building that rapport, finding what clicks for them. Maybe it's breaking a task down into smaller steps or tapping into their interests. Sometimes it's just believing in them when they don't believe in themselves.
It's like you've got this whole toolbox, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And knowing which tool to use at the right time, if you can explain that in an interview, it shows you've really thought it through.
It shows you're passionate, you're prepared, that you're really invested in these students.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into learning mentors, we have to talk about RoleCatcher itself.
Yep.
It's more than just like a career guide, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a whole platform. It's designed to, empower your job search and not just for learning mentors, for anything really. They've got some really cool AI stuff like their CV builder.
Yeah.
So helpful.
Oh, yeah. What's so great about it?
Well, it helps you tailor your CV to each job. So you're highlighting the right skills, the right experience. Plus, they've got these interview practice tools. They can really boost your confidence.
It's like having a personal coach right there on your phone.
Exactly.
I love that. So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with this. Imagine yourself in this role. What kind of impact could you have as a learning mentor? What difference could you make?
It's a powerful question. And it might be just what you need to take that next step, whether it's volunteering, researching degree programs, or just, giving that CV a polish.
The resources are out there. And RoleCatcher is a great place to start. We'll be sure to link it in the show notes so you can explore.
Because really, it's not just about a career, right? It's about making a difference that matters.
Couldn't agree more. So until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.